I grew up in a village called Mount Sorrel in Leicestershire. It was a lovely place, you know, the sort of place where, you know, canals run through it and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, also, like anyway, it had a bad side of it. The bad side of it was full of drugs. Drugs and stuff like that was a part of the sort of lifestyle there. You know, the sort of family I come from, you know, my parents are lovely, you know, I've got a very loving family. You know, always had nice Christmases, nice birthdays, nice holidays. Up until around 6 years old, when my father got cancer. He got multiple myeloma, and he went in hospital for a very, very long time. I'm going to try not to cry. I'm an emotional person, me getting took to the hospital to see my dad, and I didn't recognise him basically. And it was confusing, and you know, it had an effect on me looking back now. At this point, my brother was using drugs anyway. You know, obviously he was older than me, and he was using drugs, and I used to see it quite a lot. I think, you know, even, you know, from speaking to my brother recently, you know, he's mentioned to me that he used to deal drugs as well, that I found drugs in his room and stuff like that when I was younger. I can't really remember it, but there was around me. I started to get involved and hang around with older people, the sort of people that your parents would tell you not to hang around with basically. And very quickly I found them in that lifestyle. I don't know if it was because it was a new experience that I'd been looking for, more appealing basically. I know that when I drank and when I started experiencing cannabis, I enjoyed the way it made me feel. It made me feel better than I did when I hadn't got anything within me, which obviously spurred me on to wanting to use it more. And coke and ecstasy and stuff like that, and it was appealing to me, you know, because for me, you know, like I said earlier, you know, the experience and the feeling that, you know, drugs gave me was, you know, great. You know, I thought I found what I was looking for. I'd not used a Class A drug by this point, and this day come along and I was on the park, and I'd used cocaine and I used ecstasy. Before I took it, people were saying to me, and I was a bit worried about, I wonder if I'll die, you know, so I took a bit more because I thought if I don't die, I'll enjoy myself. That was a new level for me then. So again, it was a more of, this is it for me. And at this point, you know, I'm like I say, I'm 15, 16. My addiction progressed very quickly, you know, and it got bad really quickly. You know, like I say, there was problems going on when I first started using drugs, i.e. my behaviour around it. When I progressed to Class A drugs, every weekend it became every other day, and then every day. I stopped using the cannabis because the paranoia that I saw, you know, I used to smoke it every day, and I thought I was immune to all this stuff that I heard people talk about, paranoia and that. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if, you know, I just crossed like an invisible line of abusing it to becoming dependent on it, you know. Something just went in my mind, and every time I would have it, it would just bring, you know, intense paranoia on, and I didn't like it, obviously. Alcohol was a massive part of my addiction. I will say that, you know, I abuse alcohol in the same way as I abuse any other drug. Do you know what I mean? I use it in an aggressive way. I'll steal to get it. You know, I'll drink from when I woke up to when I went to sleep, just as I would any other drug. Constantly abusing myself and others every day. I had no morals or values by the end of my using. When I was 20 years old, I was homeless. I was in major drug debts. Well, I was in drug debts, quite a lot of drug debts for quite a lot of money. I had people after me for it. I had no friends. Even the people that abused drugs with me wouldn't want to be with me because I was a leech, you know. It was all about me. As long as I could get what I wanted, that was it. I damaged my family that much. Bear in mind my dad's illness and stuff like that. I'd go to hospital and get money off him. I'd rob belongings out of their house. I'd clear the bank accounts out, use the company credit cards. I was sitting on the park at about 7 o'clock in the morning, seriously contemplating on suicide, paranoid. I had nothing left inside, spiritually or mentally. I didn't know where I was, you know, I didn't know what the reality of life was. And I was sitting on this park with nowhere to go, freezing cold, hungry, nothing. That day, I went to my mum's work. I walked in there and she broke down because she hadn't really saw me, and she said, you know, look at you know, look what you've turned into, you know, look what this lifestyle's doing to you. And I knew she was right, and I broke down, and I said to him, for the first time, you know, coming from my heart, I said, you know, Mum, I'm nearly crying, so I need help. Do you know what I mean? And she'd been given, you know, this is where I believe something bigger than me in the world just taking care of me. She'd been given a card for a treatment centre a while before for my older brother, who was in active addiction as well, like I spoke about. And he'd never wanted, you know, the help, but she kept hold of his card. She gave it to me, and I rang him that day, and I was honest with him. I think I welded a bit of dishonesty onto it, so I could get in, if that makes sense. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know any different, to be honest. Looking back, you know, I was dishonest, but I didn't know any different. You know, and he said come up for an assessment. I'd never, by this point, wanted or done anything that would help me. I come into the treatment centre at 20 years old, and I was in there for 7.5 months. I spent my 21st birthday in there, and it was the best time of my life. You know, when I first went in there, I was scared. Do you know what I mean? I was lonely. I was completely broken inside. I was paranoid. I didn't know where I was. And I can always remember the first group that they had, and the treatment centre manager said to me, you know, how are you feeling, Joe? You know, and I broke down and said, I'm beyond repairable. I don't think you're going to be able to fix me because of the way I felt and how my head was. You know, I'm an addict. You know, and my experience showed me that when I use drugs, when I say drugs, that includes for me alcohol. There was 2 points. I would use, and then I would end up there every single time. So that showed me that I couldn't do it successfully. It's basically, give yourself a break, you know, remember that you're worth more than that lifestyle. It's something I've learned. You're not worthless, you know, you're a human being that's not doing very well. Do you know what I mean? And recovery is possible one day at a time. No matter what happens through the day, when I wake up in the morning, I say, no matter what happens in my life today, you know, I'm going to choose recovery. And if things come up and feelings and situations happen that make me feel, you know, not very good, or, you know, I have problems in my relationships, or, you know, because I can struggle sometimes, you know, I do struggle sometimes. Do you know what I mean? But I say, listen, I'm struggling. Do you know what I mean? It's alright to struggle, and it's alright to cry, it's alright to be angry. Drugs, alcohol, are not going to fix any of that.